Here's what you missed in the last 18 hours. You had 10 videos worth catching up on, covering everything from Microsoft's mounting competitive pressures to the future of AI development teams, plus some fascinating hardware launches from Apple and electric vehicle makers. The biggest story today was Linus breaking down what he's calling the year of Windows humiliation. He was genuinely fascinated by Microsoft's current crisis rather than gleeful about it. The numbers tell the story. Linux gaming share has jumped from 1% for years to 5% in 2025, according to Steam surveys, thanks largely to Valve's decade of investment in the Proton compatibility layer and the Steam Deck's success. Meanwhile, Microsoft keeps filling Windows with ads for OneDrive, Xbox Game Pass, an edge that users can't permanently dismiss. Framework just announced their Ubuntu laptops are outselling Windows versions on the new Framework 13 Pro, which his editor actually inserted into the video mid-recording because the news was so significant. The real threat comes from Apple's aggressive new pricing with the MacBook Neo at $600 that's surprising even Apple with its success. Microsoft's response has been promising fixes they should have made years ago, removing Copilot from basic tools, fixing search, allowing taskbar repositioning. Linus kept asking, "Why now?" with genuine puzzlement. His conclusion was nuanced. While 2026 probably isn't the year of Linux or Mac dominance, Microsoft's iceberg is clearly visible on the horizon. Speaking of Apple's strategy, Nate from AI News had a fascinating contrarian take on Apple's CEO transition that everyone else is missing. Tim Cook stepped down, replaced by hardware engineer John Turney's, with chip designer John Suji as chief hardware officer. Both top executives are silicon people, not software experts. Nate argued this signals Apple is abandoning the cloud AI race they can't win and betting everything on on-device AI. His reasoning was compelling. Sam Altman openly admitted OpenAI loses money on ChatGPT Pro even at $200 per month. The economics don't work because capable AI models cost more to run than any consumer subscription can cover. Meanwhile, on-device inference has fixed costs. Once you own the chip, asking 1,000 questions costs the same as one. He drew parallels to the 1970s, when the Apple II didn't beat mainframes on raw capability, but moved useful compute onto something you owned. The evidence he found most convincing was that law firms and medical practices are already buying Mac Minis and clustering them to run local models because they need AI, but can't let data leave their physical control due to attorney-client privilege and HIPAA requirements. This connects perfectly to Alex Ziskind's hands-on comparison of that $500 MacBook Neo against 3 similarly priced Windows laptops. He was genuinely shocked by some of the results. The Neo absolutely dominated in single-core performance, scoring 50.5 on speedometer 3.1 versus the Acer at 34.9, Dell at 26.6, and Lenovo at 25.3. But multi-core performance told a completely different story. In his Python algorithm test, all 3 Windows machines finished in 45-48 seconds, while the MacBook Neo took 1 minute 25 seconds. Even more dramatic was the net compilation test. Windows machines finished in 113-135 seconds, but the Neo took 476 seconds. Alex was clear that you don't buy the Neo for compiling large projects. However, he was impressed by the build quality, calling it the best non-haptic trackpad he'd ever used, while the Windows machines all had those diving board trackpads that only work on the bottom portion. The port situation heavily favored Windows. The Acer had 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports plus HDMI and multiple USB-A, while the Neo only has 2 USB-C ports, one limited to USB 2 speeds. Moving into AI development tools, Maggie Appleton from GitHub next presented a provocative argument that current coding agents are creating an alignment crisis. She was refreshingly blunt, calling GitHub Next the department of F** around and find out, and acknowledging it might sound heretical to criticize GitHub's tools while working there. Her thesis was that the one-man 2 dozen Claude's vision assumes software is made by one person, but software is actually a team sport requiring agreement on what to build. Implementation has become a solved problem. Code is fast, cheap, and improving in quality. The real bottleneck is now agreeing on what to build. She demonstrated ACE, their agent collaboration environment that combines chat, coding, and cloud infrastructure in multiplayer sessions. Teams can collaboratively prompt the same agent, see live previews, and maintain context across the entire conversation. The demo showed multiple people working on a calm hacker news app that only shows the top 3 stories from the last 3 months. Her key insight was that we've been gifted time back from not having to implement everything manually, and we can choose to either build more of the same crappy software or make much better software through better alignment. On the individual AI productivity front, Tom from ICOR was really excited to clear up confusion about his 2-team AI setup. He uses separate systems: IPA for intelligent process automation in business operations, and PKA for personal knowledge assistant in personal knowledge management. His orchestrator, Larry, runs on just a few lines directing him to team information, making it extremely token efficient. When Larry encounters a task requiring expertise not on the team, he automatically contacts Nolan in HR, who reaches out to Pex the researcher to find the perfect specialist. Pex research is online. Nolan creates the new agent and adds it to the team folder, and the new agent starts working immediately. Tom demonstrated this live by downloading Charter, an infographic designer, and asking Larry to hire him. The system routed this to Nolan, who initiated onboarding with 12 customization questions. Then Charter created a professional PNG infographic about electric car adoption using HTML code generation rather than requiring image tokens. The key insight was that this goes beyond basic AI teams by including persistent memory, daily journaling, task management, and automated expansion. Shifting to Linux news, Christopher Barnett gave Ubuntu 26.04 Resolute Raccoon LTS his characteristic thorough review. He was genuinely enthusiastic about improvements like automatic NVIDIA driver detection, calling it excellent and an improvement, and the new text scaling slider that he knows will be extremely useful. The release uses Linux kernel 7 from April 12th, making it extremely current, and GNOME 50 with Wayland-only support. X11 has been removed entirely. System requirements increased from 4 GB to 6 GB RAM, the first change since 2018, though he believes it will run fine on 4 GB systems despite criticizing the increase, given high memory prices. New features include hardware-backed encryption using Secure Boot with TPM2 and several applications rewritten in Rust for security. PDF Viewer is now Papers, Video Player is Showtime, and Image Viewer is Lupe. He was particularly critical of the removal of the Software and Updates app without replacement functionality, calling it premature and noting users need 2 fixes after installation. He addressed Ubuntu criticisms directly, defending Canonical's commercial approach while respecting those who prioritize pure FOSS principles. For practical Linux installation, David Bombal was genuinely enthusiastic about Vent, a free open-source utility that lets you put multiple operating system ISOs on a single USB drive. He demonstrated how instead of using Rufus or Etcher to write individual ISOs to separate flash drives, you simply copy ISO files onto a Ventoy drive and select which OS to install at boot time. He showed the process live, booting into a menu with Linux Mint, Pop! OS, Ubuntu, and other options all available from one drive. When Pop! OS failed in normal boot mode, switching to Grub 2 mode worked perfectly. He addressed secure boot compatibility by showing how to enroll Ventoy's security key through BIOS, a one-time setup that then allows normal use. His key recommendations were using external SSDs instead of USB flash drives for better speed and capacity, and making backup copies since you don't want to rely on a single drive. The tool works by providing a boot menu without repeatedly formatting drives, and you can store additional software like hypervisors and drivers on the same drive alongside operating systems. On a completely different note, Virginia Santy delivered a compelling TED Talk about how the world's infrastructure was designed around men's bodies and experiences. She opened playfully by asking the audience about their comfort level, then pointed out that men don't typically need to consider these issues because environments are built for them, while women are conditioned to accept discomfort as normal. She traced this back to historical references like Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, and noted that female crash test dummies were only included 20 years ago, and women weren't included in medical trials until 1991. Her workplace design project included wider parking spaces to accommodate car seats, reduced force required for doors, and on-site childcare rather than pretending workers are 100% autonomous agents. The economic argument was striking. Women's workforce participation is at the same level as 30 years ago, and if women worked at the same levels as men, U.S. GDP would increase by $1 trillion. Her research revealed that while 94% of U.S. cities have city plans, only 2% mention women at all. She painted an elaborate vision of a reimagined city where a mother can easily navigate with her child, access on-site corporate daycare, and use family-friendly transit systems. Wrapping up with electric vehicles, Sam Evans was genuinely excited about Xpeng's new G9, calling it the most technically advanced electric car in history. The three-row SUV starts at $58,000 with 750 km range and features the most powerful compute system ever installed in a vehicle, 3,000 TOPS across 4 Turing AI chips running the VLA2 autonomous driving system. No vehicle in history has featured this much computing power. The steer-by-wire system, developed with Bosch, eliminates mechanical connections between steering wheel and wheels, making the nearly 5.3-meter-long vehicle as maneuverable as a hatchback in parking. Other impressive specs include 800V architecture, with 5C charging delivering approximately 500 kW, aviation-grade 6-layer redundancy systems, and luxury features like massage captain's chairs and a noise-canceling car fridge. Sam was careful to clarify that while the hardware is robotaxi-ready, the software isn't complete yet. The missing piece is autonomous parking and journey completion logic, which he predicted could be achieved within a year. He connected this to recent success, noting that VLA2 has driven a 118% month-over-month surge in orders for other Xpeng models. Finally, Sam also covered Hyundai's unveiling of the production Ioniq V in Beijing, a uniquely triangular-shaped electric car he described as completely non-derivative. He was particularly intrigued by its distinctive design, questioning whether it's a fastback, coupe, sedan, or combination of all three, and noting how rare it is to find a vehicle that isn't derivative of existing designs. The car features 800-volt architecture and incorporates Momenta and Qualcomm flagship cockpit chips, the same Momenta technology BYD uses with their God's Eye driving suite. It also utilizes CATL batteries, Baidu's Winqin language model, and ByteDance's Volcano engine, which Sam characterized as a whole smorgasbord of different technology. Key dimensions are 4.9 meters long, 1.9 meters wide, with a 2.9-meter wheelbase, somewhat larger than a Tesla Model 3. Interior features include a 27-inch ultra-thin 4K screen, nebula lighting, and a Cyber Eye heads-up display. While designed for Chinese users, all Ioniq designs are led by the Hyundai China Design Center and will be exported globally, potentially including Australia, but likely not the United States unless they manufacture a US version. That covers the major developments from the last 18 hours, from Microsoft's competitive challenges and Apple's strategic pivot to fascinating AI development tools and some impressive vehicle launches. The recurring theme seems to be major platform shifts happening across multiple industries simultaneously.